She rented my penthouse for 2 days. She stayed for 2 months. I stood in the hallway of my own $1.5 million apartment, listening to a stranger, a woman I had never met before last week, tell the police that I was trespassing. The officer looked at my deed. Then he looked at her fake lease printed on library paper. And then he handed me back my deed and said, "Sir, I'm sorry. This is a civil matter. You can't kick her out. She has rights." The law said I couldn't evict a squatter without a court order that should take 6 months. The law said I couldn't change the locks. But here's what the law didn't say. The law didn't say I couldn't move back into my own home. And the law certainly didn't say I couldn't bring my 3 best friends, who happen to be 300-pound bikers with a passion for death metal and garlic, to live with us. Welcome to the renovation from hell. I'm an architect. I spent 5 years designing my loft in downtown Chicago. Exposed brick, floor-to-ceiling windows, imported Italian marble in the kitchen. It wasn't just an apartment. It was my portfolio. It was my life. I was going to Europe for a month for a project, so I decided to list it on Airbnb. High price point, strict vetting. I wanted to avoid parties. Then came the request from Brenda. Her profile picture was innocent. A smiling woman in her late 30s holding a toddler. Her message was perfect. "Hi, I am a single mom going through a messy divorce. I just need a quiet, safe place for me and my son Leo for the weekend to clear my head. We are very clean and respectful." My heart melted. I'm a sucker for a sob story. I accepted the booking. 2 nights, $1,200. I left the keys in the lockbox, got on my plane to London, and didn't think twice. The first red flag came on the day of checkout. I got a notification from my smart lock. Offline. I messaged Brenda. "Hi, Brenda. Hope you enjoyed your stay. Checkout was at 11 a.m. Just checking that you locked up." Silence. 3 hours later, still silence. I called my neighbor, Mrs. Gable. "Hey, can you check if the guest left?" 10 minutes later, Mrs. Gable called me back. Her voice was shaking. "Honey, there's a U-Haul truck outside. They aren't moving out. They're moving in." I caught the next flight back. I didn't sleep. I was fueled by caffeine and pure panic. I arrived at my building at 7 a.m. My key didn't work. She had drilled out the lock. My $500 smart lock was gone, replaced by a cheap brass deadbolt. I pounded on the door. "Brenda, open up." The door opened a crack. The chain was on. Brenda stood there. She wasn't the sweet mom from the profile picture. She was wearing my bathrobe. She was holding a mug of coffee made in my espresso machine. "Can I help you?" she asked, like I was a door-to-door salesman. "You're in my house," I snapped. "Your reservation ended 2 days ago." She took a sip of coffee. "Actually, we've decided to stay. My lawyer says that since I've established residency, you can't make us leave. It's adverse possession." "Residency? You've been here for 48 hours. She smiled, a cold, predatory smile. "I have mail addressed here. I have a utility bill in my name. I'm a tenant now. If you try to enter, I'll call the police for harassment." She slammed the door. I called the police. 2 officers arrived. I showed them my ID, the Airbnb receipt, the deed. The officer sighed. "Look, buddy, in this city, if someone claims tenancy and has proof of occupancy, like a bill, we can't determine who is right on the sidewalk. You have to go to housing court." "She's stealing my house," I screamed. "Civil matter," the cop repeated. "If you try to force entry, we'll arrest you for home invasion." I spent the next 3 weeks in a hotel bleeding money. My lawyer told me the grim truth. In this state, squatters have more rights than owners. Eviction takes 6 to 12 months. And she knows it. She's a professional squatter. I looked her up. She's done this to 3 other people. Then the final straw. I was scrolling Facebook Marketplace and I saw it. Vintage Eames chair. Authentic leather, $800. Pickup only. The photo was taken in my living room. She wasn't just living there. She was selling my furniture to pay for her legal defense against me. I lost it. I threw my phone across the hotel room. I wasn't going to wait for a judge. I needed a loophole. I sat with my lawyer, Dave, and we went through the penal code line by line. Wait, Dave said, tapping a paragraph. She's claiming she's a tenant, but there's no lease, no signed agreement granting her exclusive possession. So, Dave grinned. If there's no lease for the whole unit, then technically this is a shared living arrangement. You didn't rent her the whole apartment indefinitely. You are the owner-occupant. Meaning you can go home. You can't kick her out. But she can't kick you out either. It's your primary residence. I looked at Dave. If I move back in, she'll make my life miserable. Dave shrugged. Then you have to make her life worse. You need to be the worst roommate in history. I pulled out my phone. I dialed a number. Hey, Tiny, I said. Remember you said you guys needed a place to crash while your clubhouse was being fumigated? How do you feel about a luxury penthouse? The only catch is we have a roommate, and she hates noise. I didn't break in. I used a locksmith to legally open the door because I lost my key. Brenda was on the couch, my couch, watching TV. When the door opened, she jumped up. I'm calling 911, she shrieked. Go ahead, I said, walking in with the suitcase. I live here. My name is on the deed. I'm just moving back into my spare room. She did call the police. The same officer showed up. This time I was ready. Officer, I'm not evicting her. She can stay in the guest room, but this is my house, and I'm living here too. Show me the law that says I can't sleep in my own house. The cop looked at Brenda. He's right, ma'am. Unless you have a lease that says exclusive use, he can be here. Brenda turned purple. This is harassment. No, I smiled. This is having roommates. Then the elevator pinged. Enter the boys. Tiny, 6'7", 320 pounds, beard down to his chest, wearing a leather vest and very short denim shorts. Sledge, covered in tattoos, carrying a drum kit. Meatball, holding a giant pot of his famous bachelor chow, a mixture of cabbage, onions, garlic, and fish sauce. Sup, roomie? Tiny bellowed, dropping a greasy duffel bag on the white carpet. Brenda looked horrified. Who are they? My emotional support animals, I said. They're staying in the living room. Hell House Day 1. The atmosphere. Meatballs started cooking immediately. The smell of boiling cabbage and fish sauce permeated the walls. It soaked into the curtains. It was a smell so thick you could chew it. Brenda came out of her room coughing. You can't do this. My son has allergies. Oh, don't worry, Meatball shouted. It's gluten-free. Want a bowl? She retreated to her room, but she couldn't escape the sound. Sledge set up his drums in the hallway. He didn't play songs. He just practiced blast beats. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat for 3 hours straight. We played Rammstein's Du Hast on the surround sound system, but not loudly, just constantly, on a loop, at a volume where you could hear the bass thumping through the floorboards. Day 2. The renovations. Brenda tried to take a shower. She screamed. I walked to the bathroom door. What's wrong? There's no hot water. Oh yeah, I said, holding a wrench. The water heater is acting up. I had to shut off the hotline for safety. Parts are on back order. Might take 6 to 8 weeks. I can't shower in freezing water. Wim Hof method, Tiny shouted from the couch. It's good for the pores. Then I took it a step further. While she was at the grocery store, I removed the door to the guest bathroom. When she came back, she gasped. Where is the door? Termites. I lied. Safety hazard. Had to take it off to treat the frame. Don't worry, we'll hang a sheet up. A sheet? A transparent sheet. Sledge corrected. We ran out of the opaque ones. Day 3. The breaking point. Brenda was losing her mind. She looked tired. Her sweet mom act was gone. She was screaming, cursing, throwing things. Tiny was walking around in his underwear, tighty-whities that had seen better days, eating raw garlic cloves as a snack. We invited more friends over. A book club. Except the book was a motorcycle repair manual, and the club involved 15 bikers drinking beer and watching wrestling at maximum volume in the living room. Brenda tried to call the cops again. They are being loud and gross, she cried to the dispatcher. The police came. They saw a group of guys watching TV and eating dinner. No violence, no threats. Ma'am, the officer said, looking exhausted. Being annoying isn't a crime, it's a civil matter. It happened on the morning of day 4. I woke up to silence. No screaming, no slamming doors. I walked out to the living room. Tiny was asleep on the floor, hugging a pillow. The door to the guest room was open. The room was empty. Her clothes were gone. The U-Haul was gone. On the kitchen counter, there was a note scrawled in red lipstick on a napkin. You are a psychopath. Keep the damn house. I walked over to the window. I saw her car speeding away down the street. I felt a rush of dopamine so strong I almost passed out. Boys, I shouted, wake up. Operation Squatter Be Gone is a success. The damage was bad. She had scratched the floors. The apartment smelled like stale perfume and desperation, and she had stolen the toaster, but she was gone. I changed the locks. I installed steel-reinforced doors. I installed cameras that cover every inch of the entry. It took me a week to get the smell of meatballs cooking out of the curtains, but it was worth it. I never rented on Airbnb again. A month later, I got a letter from a lawyer. Brenda was trying to sue me for constructive eviction and emotional distress. I sent her lawyer a video file. It was a recording from the living room camera. It showed Tiny in his underwear, performing an interpretive dance to death metal while eating a whole onion. Attached was a note. We have 100 hours of footage. Should we release it to the jury, or should we drop the case? I never heard from them again. Sometimes when the wind blows through Chicago, I swear I can still smell the garlic. And I smile, because my house is mine, and nobody, not the law, not a scammer, not a Karen, is ever taking it from me again.